Hello, and welcome to the Business Academy. Today's lesson will cover basics of CRM, or Customer Relations Management. Topics today will include an overview of customer vendor settings, the customer dashboard, leads and opportunities, and also some reporting for your customers. So to begin, let's first go to the customer and vendors, and let's see what we can see with our customers and vendors. Now to do this, we'll go to the customer or vendors list, and to do that, we can click Customers and Customers from the drop-down. So here we have a list of all our active and prospective customers, and we can sort for a lot of different search filters up top. So we can search for whether they're a customer or a vendor. We can also select both. So if you want to show both customers and vendors, we can do so from the drop-down. We can filter for the industry that they're related to, and we can check off each industry as we need. We can click no industry from the bottom, or we can select all industries to make our searching more effective. On the status over here, we can choose whether they're prospective, active, deleted, or lost customers and or vendors. We can also filter by referral source, so how we're learning about where they're coming from or where they were referred from. If we're categorizing our customers and vendors, we can choose from the categories from this dropdown as well. So for instance, if I want to show my services or inventory categories, I can go ahead and click search. And this will filter my search for anything that matches all the criteria that I've chosen here. Now, the primary assignment is the internal user who's assigned to that customer or vendor. We can erase that assignment. We can add a new assignment as well. And we can also add an assignment category. So whether that's an account manager, a collections representative, a customer service representative, project manager, and so forth. Every time you change a search filter, you can choose search from the right, and anything that matches that criteria will drop down below. Now to go into that customer information, we can simply choose the customer name, and we'll be able to go into that customer and view all the details. Now, before I jump too deep into the customer dashboard, I'd like to go first into the customer and vendor settings to see exactly what we configure for our customers and vendors. To do this, we'll go to the Company tab and click Settings from the dropdown. Here on the left, we have all our top settings, and we can expand everything by clicking the arrows, in which all filters will drop down. Now, if I want to view customer and vendor settings, I'll click Customer and Vendors, and any search filters will drop down with the parent filters noted by the arrows, in which you can expand those as well. Now, to collapse, you can simply click on the name or the triangle, and that'll go back to being collapsed. Now, if we want to view the customer and vendor settings, after clicking Customers Vendors, we can just click Settings. And this will bring us to our overall default settings for our customers and vendors. Here we can configure a lot of global settings and how we essentially add customers and vendors, as well as some required fields, and much, much more. If we start from the top and work our way down, we have our customer vendor settings. Now these will dictate what default customer vendor status a new entity is added with. So for instance, right now, if I go to add a new customer and vendor, they will be noted with the prospect status by default, since it's noted here in the settings. Now, if I want to make every single customer and vendor that I add active, I can simply choose active from the dropdown. And now every time I go to add a new customer and vendor, they will have the default status of active instead of prospect. Now you can change that with the dropdown, and you can change that here to affect it globally. Now, when you're adding a customer and vendor, it can be changed on that page as well, but this will default to that status here. You can also default what type you're adding. So if I go to add a customer or vendor, do I want it to default to a customer or a vendor? So if I'm purchasing a lot of materials, I can default to a vendor status when I go to add a new entity, or I can default to a customer because I'm selling more than I'm buying. The choice is really up to you, but these can be changed with the drop-downs very easily and be affected on your global settings for your customers and vendors. Now below, we also have the option to allow duplicate customer and vendor numbers. This is something we just released in our last business release. So this will allow you to duplicate numbers. Now, if you want your customer vendor numbers to be more unique, you don't want things to be duplicated, you want everybody to have their own account numbers, you can simply uncheck this box and every single customer vendor you add will have a unique number. Now again, if you do want to duplicate, you can simply check that off. Now below that, we have our required field section. So this will know what do we want to be required when we start adding a customer and vendor. Do we want to know where our customer and vendors are coming from? If so, we can check this off and we can require our referral source. So for instance, if we have a lot of customers that are being referred to us by Google, we can require Google to be associated with the referral source. And that'll make not only our reporting more effective and accurate, but it can also make our referrals more accurate when we're sending out referral sources. Now the customer and vendor category, we can also require this by checking it off. And this will make every customer and vendor have a category assigned before we're able to create that entity. So for instance, if I'm categorizing my customers, so for instance, if I run a landscaping business, I want to categorize all my customers by what I do for them. So I have my my mowing customers, I have my hedge trimming customers, I have my flower planting customers. I want to categorize them. If I want to require that categorization, I can do so on this global setting. And that'll not only make my reports more accurate, but it'll also make my communication more accurate because I can send multi-touch emails based on those categories. And we'll get into both of those things a little later on and how categories can really help you become more effective in your communication with customers. I'd also like to point out at this time that that is something that we're tackling in another business academy session, and that will be held next Tuesday. So stay tuned for that as well to get more in deep with multi-touches and communicating. Now below that are our defaults. Now, if you want to make customers be consumers by default, you can select this to enable that. Now what this is going to do is that a customer is different than a consumer in that a customer would be like a company. So for instance, if I have a customer that's a floral shop down the road, that would be an example of a customer. However, if I'm doing services for a household, that would be an instance of a consumer. Now, if you're doing many things for individuals or households that aren't really quote unquote customers, you can differentiate that by customers and consumers. And you can also make your customers consumers by default by choosing this setting in the customer and vendor settings. Now below that, we have even more settings, and these are recipient settings. Now this is very important in terms of our automatic notifications that are going out from business. Now automatic notifications means that as soon as you create or close or change something within business in regards to any of these things you see down below, so open invoices, invoice payment receipts, collection notices, monthly statements. If you want the primary contact to be the recipient for all of these, you can select them by choosing the checkboxes. You can select all or you can select none. It's really up to you in terms of what you want your primary contacts to be notified for. Now you can also change this on the customer dashboard to make individuals for each and every single notification, which we'll get into in just a little bit as well. But if you want your primary contact to be the recipient for any of these, you can simply just check those boxes for the ones that are appropriate. Now I'm going to choose to have the primary contact be recipient for collection notices and monthly statements. Now, if we want our sales order contact to be recipient for open invoice and credit memo notices and or invoice payment receipts, we can dictate with these two options as well. Now, just like up top, you can either have none, one, or both. It's really up to you and how you want this to act. The sales order contact will be appropriate on each sales order that you add for that particular customer. Now, the requested by are for tasks, and each task you can have a requested by judging by its task type. Now, task types will be talked a little bit more in our projects business webinar a little later on this week, so I recommend that you attend that to learn more about the requested by. But if you want the requested by to be recipient for when a task is created, when it's in progress, or when it's marked done, you can do that by checking off these boxes as well. Now, all of this will be your notification settings for your particular customers and vendors. And this is the global setting. So whenever you add a new customer and vendor, they're going to have these changes and adjustments affected. Now, below that are triggers. And this is how things change based on what happens with the customer and vendor. So for instance, when the first order is approved, if we're adding customer and vendors as prospect, so if we're adding things as prospect, do we want the trigger to be as soon as the first order is approved, they are immediately changed to an active customer? If you want that to happen, you can simply leave this box checked. If you don't want that to happen, you can uncheck it. Now, since I had changed this to active as soon as we're adding, it wouldn't make sense to change it again to active since they're already changed to active. So this can be checked on and off based on your needs. Now, you can also update the customer and vendor sense date, or when they started doing business with you, or when they first got into business in your business system based on the order approval date. So as soon as they approve the first order, the sense date will change to that day. So for instance, I have a prospective customer, hasn't done anything with us, so technically they haven't been a customer with us yet since they haven't done any business with us. As soon as they mark their order approved, their sense date will go to the approval date. And then in the future, we can check how long they've been doing business with us based on that sense date. And that can be done with reporting, communications, and a lot of different things within business. Now, reference settings, we can have a default reference expiration, and we can set that here. Now, by default, it's a full year, so 365 days. We can change this as needed. We can go to as little as we want or to as much as we want based on this setting. But this will dictate how long your references will expire for. Now, if you want somebody to be notified when a new reference is added for your business system, you can dictate that here. So for instance, if I want my sales manager, Will, to be notified every single time a new reference is added, I can dictate that he gets notified when that reference is added for our company. And you can add as many recipients as you need down below. And if you want to remove, you can simply just notate that by clicking on the deactivate button, which is the trash can, and that'll remove the person from the list. Now, if I go to the top right, we have more settings. So this is contact settings. So this is the contact's birthday. So if you want to, by default, we can track this if you want to enter that information for your individual contacts. And we can do that for the day, month, or the actual date. Now, the day, month will be the day, followed by the month. The actual date will be the day, month, year, or the month, day, year. And lastly is the business partner portal. Now, we have three options on the business partner portal in the global customer vendor settings. Now, one is to allow business partner portal access on creation. This means that when we create a new contact, we can send them a welcome email to sign in or create a login into our partner portal to view all their information that we allow them to see. Now, we can also select our default portal role. Now, portal roles we'll get into in a little bit as well, and we can see the exact permissions that go into each of these. But I can set a default portal role for every single contact that I send a welcome email to for them to sign into their partner portal right here by default, and I won't have to change it on the individual contact. Now, if you don't want your customer contacts to be allowed into the portal until an order goes out, you can simply uncheck that box and the drop-down will disappear from your view. Now again, to enable that, we'll just click that box again and the full access pops up. Now the last two options are for your customer portal and your vendor portal and their content widgets. Now these can be enabled or disabled judging by the check marks. Now if we enable them, we can customize exactly what appears on these contents. So if I click the little pen and pad icon, we can edit the content. And here you'll see we have an advanced editor that pops up. Now here we can attach multiple different things. We can attach videos, images, advertisements, hyperlinks. We can build a table. You can get really customizable for your company. And this makes it more personal for your customer contacts upon logging in. They see things like your company logo, maybe an ad that you have for a discount on an order, for instance, or maybe just a quick little video about your company. You can make it really customized for your customer contacts when logging into the portal. Now to add an image, you'll just click the little mountain image right here, and that'll populate an image manager. And here we can upload images using the upload, and you see that each file size is 200 kilobytes. We have a lot of different extensions we can add here for images. And we can select from our PC to add images in. And that's how easy it is to upload. And then you can just select to insert down here, and you'll be able to add that into your widget. We can also add videos by clicking the little play button here. And here we can insert a YouTube or video or Vimeo video URL. Now the hyperlink option is right here. So if you want to upload a hyperlink, we can just choose the hyperlink here. We can test the hyperlink, and we can also add a lot more information here as well. Now the same options are available for the vendor portal. You can attach images, videos, hyperlinks, insert a table. And a table can be done with this little grid option here, in which you can do the table wizard and start building out your table. You can add columns, rows, minimize columns or rows, and you can really make it a lot very personal. So now that we've gone over the customer vendor settings, we can go down and click Save to make sure that our changes take effect. So now that we've gone over our settings, let's next go into the customer dashboard that we were looking at before. So for this, I'll just go to Customer and Customers from the dropdown. And here, again, we're brought to the customer list. We can click Search to view all of our customers. Just erase the primary assignment, and all of our customers will drop down below. Now, to go into a customer dashboard, we can do one of two things. Now, let's go into any customer here that we want. Let's go into Pelican Freight Company here. Now, I can do one of two things. I can click on the name to jump right into the dashboard. So I'll open that in a new tab. So now if I go to that tab, we have that customer dashboard, and we have a lot of top tabs up here. And each of these are different functions and different things that we can manage with our particular customer that we've chosen. Now, if I go back to the customer and vendors list, I can see Pelican Freight here again. Now, the other thing I can do to jump into one of those top tabs really quickly and easily is choose the hamburger menu. Now, the hamburger menu are these 3 lines that are next to the name of the customer or vendor. And by clicking on those 3 lines, we can see a lot of things that drop down here. Now, some of them have arrows, which dictate that there's more options to be chosen from. And some of them are just simple functions that we can go in and manage. Now, if I choose contacts, this will take me right into the contacts page within our customer dashboard. So this enables us to see that information really easily with minimal amount of clicks. Now, if I go into the Pelican Freight company dashboard, for instance, I can simply click on contacts to get there as well. So you really have 2 options. You can go through the customer dashboard, or you can use that hamburger menu to get into things a lot easier. Now, either way, we're in the customer and vendor dashboard. So if I go back to the dashboard screen, we can view all the basic information about our customer or vendor. So here we have the name and address. We have the basic information. So here we can track things like their website, if they're a customer and or vendor, the status, how long they've been a customer with us, the industry that they're in. Any referral source will be tracked here along with the referring contact. If we're categorizing our customers and vendors, the category will be noted here as well. And then we have a credit limit and a notes field as well. Now dropping down, we can see our contacts, and we can see, judging by the number 2, that we have 2 contacts for this particular customer. Our primary will always show below the contacts. So we can see that Valerie Johnson is our primary contact. Her title is owner, it drops down, and we also have her email address. Now we can also see the assignments that are assigned to this customer and vendor, any additional information, which are custom fields for the customer. And then we have all of our open projects, tasks, orders that we're currently working on with the customer. So you can see our training schedule set up in the future. We have 2 open opportunities. We have 1 open project. We have a lot of open tasks, 16 in total. We have 4 open orders. Any recurring orders will show here. And finally, at the top right, we have the AR summary, or the accounts receivable summary. This is how much they have purchased or are purchasing from our company. Now, again, this is just basic information. It's kind of a summary of things going on with the customer. If we want to get more deep into these, we can choose from the top tabs up here. For instance, if I go to the info, I can see a lot more information about the customer. I can see their address, their bill to ship to address, any phone number. I can see whether we're excluding them or including them on multi-touch email campaigns. I can see all their referral sources here. And we also have a sub-tab called locations. And if I choose locations, I can see all the locations we're doing business with for them. So I can see that we have a primary location in Mount Laurel, and we have a New Zealand location for them as well. Now my assignments tab will show me who is assigned as internal users to this company. Now both will show as employees. We have the categories, so you can see that Brenda Quinn is an account manager, whereas Jeff Stevenson is a project manager. We'll see that our primary is dictated with the primary, and these blue globes notate that these are visible on the partner portal, so that when Valerie Johnson logs into the partner portal, she'll be able to see both Brenda Quinn and Jeff Stevenson are assignments for her company. Now, if I want to make them invisible or hide them from the customer and vendor portal, I can simply check the globes and they'll change to gray. So gray means that they are not visible on the partner portal. Blue means that they are visible on the partner portal. We can edit these by clicking the pen and pad icon. And this, I can change my contact category or my assignment category. I can change the assignment itself by deleting the name and choosing another person from the dropdown. I can write a description, and here I can note whether they're primary or also visible on the partner portal. Now the other top tab is assets. So if we're tracking customer assets, we can track them here. Now to add an asset, we can choose Add Asset. We can choose the type of asset. So you'll see customer's equipment. We can name the asset. The customer and vendor will already be chosen, but we can choose what location this is assigned to. You can choose whether it's pending, so we haven't done anything with it yet, whether it's in service, which means we have done things for it and we're currently doing service on that asset. Retired means it's no longer in service. And unsupported means that we don't do any work, but we're still going to report on that particular asset. So I can choose anything from down here. I can enter the purchase price, and I can also enter any tags down below as well. Now, if I want to make this asset visible on the partner portal, I can also note the check mark, which means that it is visible on the partner portal. If I want to hide this, I can uncheck it, and this will not be visible on the partner portal. I can also upload an image by clicking the upload button, and here I'll be able to upload a JPEG, a GIF, and a PNG file. Now the collaboration tab is the customer vendor hub, and you can see that we have some documents down here. So we have a customer satisfaction survey that they have filled out, an image, and a document. Now we can see these have been uploaded by certain people. So you can see my service manager, Will, has added the survey. Valerie Johnson has added the image and the document from the partner portal. Now, if we choose the arrow here, we can choose to edit, replace, we can manage access, share, move to a folder or a section, and we can also remove. Now, if I choose to manage access, I can manage what internal users for our company can see or edit this particular document. Now, if I choose an employee or a team or division from down below, I can note that this person, for instance myself, can either view only or they can have full access to this document. Now, view only obviously means they can just view, they cannot edit, whereas full access means they can not only view, but they can also edit the document. Now I can add teams and also divisions from here as well. Now each person in the team or division will be given the access that is affected here. Now I can also attach surveys. So if I click the survey top tab, we'll see any surveys. We can also see quizzes, assessments, and also forms that are related to this customer. Now again, if we want to see contacts, we can choose the top tab of contacts. And here we'll be able to see both contacts or all contacts that are related to the customer. Now the primary will be noted by the tag icon on the left. Secondary or non-primary contacts will be noted without the tag. Now on a base level, you'll be able to see the name of the contact, their email, their title, and their phone number. Now if I want to see more information, I can click on the name of the contact. And here I can see the category of the contact if we're choosing to categorize our contacts. We can enter their birthdays. We can note whether they're primary by this checkbox. And you'll see because we're choosing to send the welcome email, we have a hyperlink send welcome email. Now if I choose that, the welcome email will be automatically sent to that contact for them to log into the portal. Now here we have whether we're excluding them or including them in multi-touch campaigns. We also have their phone number, email, their address, and what location they're assigned to. Now if I choose save, I can save all that information. And you'll notice that each contact has its own hub. So if I click hub, this is Joe Smith's hub. So any documents, images, posts, links that are specifically geared towards Joe Smith, we can add into the hub. And we also have asset associations. So if we have a customer asset and Joe Smith is tied to that asset, we can assign him to the asset, and that asset will show up in asset associations in his information. And we also have portal setting. This is where we can change his portal role. We can change his password. We can also disallow or disable access to the partner portal by unchecking this box, and we can enable it by checking the box. Now lastly is reference. So if I click reference, we can know whether Joe Smith is a reference for us or is not a reference for us. So if we want him to be a reference, we can choose is reference and click save, and he'll be a contact in our reference emails. Now the opportunity tabs are sales opportunities that we're tracking for a customer. You'll see that we have 2 that are assigned to Pelican Freight Company. You'll see that 1 is visible on the portal, judging by the blue globe, and 1 is not. You can see basic information on this screen, such as the assignment, when it was created, the status of the opportunity, the type of opportunity, as well as the contacts that are associated, along with the estimated value, the probability of moving forward, the probability value, as well as a lot of other information such as follow-up dates, expected close dates, and last contacted date. Now, a lot of these options can be changed right from the screen. For instance, if I choose estimated value, this pop-up will appear in which we can change the status. We can also change the estimated value, the follow-up date, and also set an expected close date. Now, we'll be getting into opportunities a lot more in deep a little later, so I'm going to move on to projects as the top tab, and we'll come back to opportunities in a little bit. Now, projects will show all the projects we have open for this particular customer. We can also note the project status up here. So if I want to only show ones that are pending in progress, I can uncheck done and canceled and click search. Now the AR tab will show all sales orders, transactions, collections, a financial summary, monthly statements, and their preferred vendors. Now first, I'd like to get into transactions. Now transactions are anything where money is flowing through that particular transaction. So we have invoices, payments, sales receipts, and we can see the transaction types down below here. Now transactions are not sales orders. Sales orders have financial information, but it's not hitting our accounts. It's not posting to our general ledger. So essentially, it's not really a transaction. Now to view sales orders, we can click sales orders to the right. And here we'll be able to see all our orders, the status of the orders. So we can see that 3 of them are approved. 1 is pending approval. We can see the sales reps on each, as well as the approval date, the target date, the order total, the invoiced total. And this magnifying glass will show how much it's been viewed. So the 1 will show that the contact has viewed the information. So we can see Valerie Johnson has viewed the order, and it was viewed in late July. Now collections are anything that's past due in terms of our AR, so our transactions. We can view the AR log, So this will see any notes that are entered. We can view the collections log, so we can see all the notices that have been sent. We can send a notice. We can also reset collections to reset the cycle of the collections. We can also choose don't send collections email and also whether they are exempt from finance charges. Now, collections is another thing that we'll get more into a little later, so I'm going to skip going into too much detail with collections until we reach that point. Now, the financial summary is a summary of the total invoiced amount, which is both the recurring invoice and the one-time invoices, as well as the credit amounts and the total paid amounts. So here we can see the financial summary is adding up all that information to give us our total invoice numbers. We can click search between the dates and view any information. We can also choose the calendar option and go back in the past. We can also go forward to our current date and do a more detailed search to show more information as well. Now, monthly statements are things that we're tracking in any given month for the particular customer. So by clicking on monthly statements, we can view the monthly statements that have been set up for the customer, and we can also send a monthly statement. So here we can choose what month or year we're tracking the statement for. We can choose the customer and vendor assignment. We can also change the template. Now below is the template that we have set up in our settings. We can choose to print or email that monthly statement. Now as we go down, we'll see exactly what the monthly statement will include based on the month and year that we choose. Now in July, we had one opportunity, we had 4 tasks, we had 2 orders, 1 project, and 1 document that was added. And they'll get an email relaying all this information for them to see, and this will show them how much business we're doing for them in a given month. Now by choosing print, we can print on our local machine and mail it out. We can also choose email, and this will send an email to whoever we want to receive. Now by default, this will be the contacts that we have in our business system. So if I want to send this to the primary contact, Valerie Johnson, I can choose that. And here I can add any merge fields, so you can see that we're pulling over the contact first name. The monthly activity report link, this will allow them to view the monthly activity report. The month and year that we've chosen, as well as the account name or their customer name, and the contact full name, as well as our company name. Now we can add merge fields by choosing merge fields. We can add anything that's in the drop down here. Now it's important to note that anything that's called user is your information. So this is your personal information. So for me, it would be my email, my first name, my full name, my job title, and so forth. Anything that is contact is Valerie's information. So her first name, her full name, her prefix or suffix. An account name is the customer name. Company name is your company name. I can choose send and close to send the email. And Valerie Johnson will get her monthly statement for July. Now lastly, under AR is preferred vendors. These are vendors in our business system that they prefer to do business with. So for instance, if they prefer us to use VimTag for their orders, I can choose VimTag, and I can also choose the location that VimTag is associated with. I can choose many different vendors from the dropdown, and each one I can choose their individual locations. Now tasks are any tasks that we're currently working on for them, and all the tasks will be noted down below, and you'll see each one has a customer, Pelican Freight Company, and each one is assigned to that particular customer since we're in their customer dashboard. We can quickly add a new task. by typing in a name. We can change our assignment as well. We can also change our task type. I would like to note that tasks are going to be mentioned in very much detail. I'd like to note that tasks are going to be gone over in a lot of detail in our first projects business webinar, and that will be hosted this coming Wednesday, in which you can learn a lot more information about tasks, how to enter and track and report on tasks. So I highly recommend, if you are interested in that you tune in to that particular business webinar session. Now, the service metrics is part of the monthly statement, and this will show all the task information. So here I can choose what range we're going to track. So for instance, for that one monthly statement, I'll choose all the month of July, and I'll choose all task types and click search. And we can see all the criteria that matches that. Now, if I go to the Activities tab, this will show all emails, calls, messages, and appointments that we're currently working on with that particular customer. So if I go to Appointments, for instance, I can see all appointments. I can add a new appointment by clicking Add New Appointment. And that same functionality is there with Messages. So here I can see all the messages between me and the contacts, or anybody from my company and the contacts. And I can also add a new message as well. Now, calls would be an integration that you can do to have your phone calls sync in with your business system, and that'll match your log ID, the direction, whether they're coming to and or from, the from person, the to person, who the call was answered by, and much, much more information. And again, that is an integration with business that you can sync up. Now, the Settings tab is our notifications. Now, we touched on the notifications on the global setting. So the global settings, we set up primary contacts for individual things. But if you want to change or add any contacts to things within that customer information, you can do so in this setting. So Valerie Johnson, you can see, is the contact for a lot. If we want her to be the default contact for the monthly statements, we can assign that here. We can also set who gets notified when task things change, so when a task is in progress. If we want to add a recipient for that, we can choose Add New Recipient, and we can choose that from the drop-down. We can also choose what task types they get notified for. If I want this to be all, I'll just choose all. And if I want to save that, I can simply choose the checkbox, and that'll save my changes. Now, within settings, we also have service metrics. So service metrics are those task information that we're tracking. If we want the service metrics to be available, this will be checked on. If we do not want that to be available, we'll uncheck it, and all those options will disappear from view. Now, if we check that off, we'll have all the task types that we want to track. So I can check off as many as I'd like to track for that for this customer. And we can also note our business hours. So here I can choose any and all days that appear within our company shifts. By clicking Save, we can save all that information within our service metrics. Now, price lists are something that can be affected for any and all customers. So for instance, if we're categorizing our customers with the earlier example of the landscaping company, if our mowing customers have one price, our hedge trimming customers have another price, we can use a price list for the same items to note the differences between our customer categories. And we can do that by adding a price list or choosing a price list. So for instance, if I added the labor price list to the price list, this customer will have those item pricings whenever I add the item on a sales order or a transaction. If I want to edit or view the price list, I can choose the pen and pad icon, And this will show me the price list information, such as the items on the price list and the items' prices. I can also add items by choosing Add Items. And this will allow me to choose anything from the available options. And simply by clicking Add, I can add that to the list. Anything new will be highlighted in green. Anything that was previously there will not be highlighted in green. And we can simply adjust our prices. Now, if we want to delete anything, we can choose the trash can option, and this will delete anything from our price list. And lastly is our terms and conditions. So these are the terms and conditions that we're currently using for this particular customer. Now you can see the settings are global settings, and we can view this in the settings for the customer. So that is a rundown of the customer dashboard. Now the vendor dashboard acts much the same as the customer dashboard, except the AR will change to AP. So to simulate this, we can go to the vendors list. We can simply choose vendor as the type and click search. And here we can view our vendors. Now here again, we can choose the hamburger menu to go into individual pages, or we can choose the name to go into the customer dashboard. Now you'll see that all the top tabs are still available, just like they were with customers, except now we have an AP or accounts payable option. So if I choose AP, we'll note that the transaction types have changed to bills, bill credits, and bill payments. And we can see that with the transaction type dropdown. We'll also note that they have a lot less on their AP side, and their sales orders are now purchase orders since we're purchasing materials or labor from our vendors. Everything else within the vendor dashboard is very similar to customers. They have the same settings, they have the notification, except now they have a vendor information. So here we can select our default payment terms and our items for that vendor. And we also have a cost list instead of a price list. So this will note how much we're paying for anything that we're purchasing from our vendors. And we can do that by assigning that vendor a cost list. Now, the last thing I want to touch on in terms of the customer and vendor information are how to import your customers or vendors. Now, to do that, we can go back to the customer list. And you'll note that right to the right of add is an import. And here we can import either customer and vendors or their locations. Each individual import has different information. But if I click on customers and vendors, this will allow us to import all of our customers and vendors from a previous system right into business. So here we can do one of three things on this screen. We can choose select to choose from an import CSV file. We can choose to download a sample CSV file. And here we can start inserting our information. And we also have a window, which is the mapping. So if I choose the window, a pop-up will appear, and this is all the header information for our CSV file. So if I open that up, you'll see that all our headers appear as they're mentioned here. But the mapping will give us detail on what is included and what type of information needs to be added for each individual column. Now, the ID is something that business will assign automatically, so you can always leave that blank. But the first name will be the contact's first name. The last name will be the contact's last name. Anything with contact will be that contact's information. So for instance, it's their birth date, their contact address, and their address can be separated by the address 1, 2, and 3, as well as their city, state, zip, and country. If you want to get really detailed, you can choose their latitude and longitude as well. We'll know whether they're a consumer account or not by yes or no. And then we have all our customer information. So our customer vendor name, number, when they were created, the status, so whether they're pending, active, deleted, lost. And you can go right down the mapping and see all the primary address information for the customer, any secondary or third location that they have, and much, much more information can be added into the import and imported into your business system. Now, when you click Next, you'll be able to match up your mapping, and then you'll be able to import successfully. Business will warn you of any errors that occur with the import, and you can go back to your CSV file and adjust as needed in order to import successfully. Now, I hinted to what we're going to talk to next a little bit before, but now I'd like to go more in deep with opportunities. Now, to view opportunities, we can go to the Customers tab and click Opportunities from the dropdown. Here we can view all our open opportunities. We can also change the status to view any open, contacted, needs quote, quoted, sold, lost, and canceled as well. And just by clicking search, we'll see all that matches that criteria. Now I can go into each individual opportunity to view more information. So if I go to food order, for instance, I can see everything that is related to the opportunity. Each opportunity also has a hub, so we can attach files, images, and links. And it also has assignments, so we can view any internal assignments that are assigned to the opportunity. Now, if I go back to the opportunities list by clicking Customers and Opportunities, we can add an opportunity and we can also import opportunities. Now, the import works just like the customers. So if I click Import for opportunities, we can view the mapping of that import and what's needed for each column. We can download a sample CSV file, and here's where we can select from our available files and choose that CSV that we're adjusting. Now, if I go back to the opportunities screen itself, we can also add an opportunity by clicking Add Opportunity. And this will take us to a blank opportunity screen in which we can choose the opportunity type. So whether this is a hardware opportunity, a purchasing opportunity, or a sales opportunity. The title will be the title of that particular opportunity, which we can insert here. We can select the customer and vendor related to the opportunity. The location of the customer and vendor, if it's added into business already, will drop down automatically based on the customer and vendor being added. We can choose the contact, and we can choose who the opportunity is assigned to. Now, by default, this is whoever is adding the opportunity, but we can delete that name and choose from the drop-down as well. Our estimated value is here, so we can estimate how much this opportunity is for. We can choose the probability of this opportunity moving forward to a sale. We can choose when we expect this opportunity to close or when we expect them to move forward with the sales opportunity. We can choose our follow-up dates, so when we're going to meet with them, schedule a call with them to talk about the opportunity and really move things along. Now on the right is other information such as the opportunity status, the opportunity priority, such as normal, high, critical, or cold. The category of the opportunity, so if we're categorizing things, we can choose the category from the drop-down. We can also note whether the opportunity is visible in the partner portal or whether we exclude this opportunity from multi-touch emails. Now, the one thing I'd like to get into more deep is the statuses. So we have multiple different statuses here. So starting from the top and working our way down, open means that we've recently opened the opportunity and nothing's really happened with it yet. We're just in the process of really starting to manage this opportunity. So that would be an open opportunity. Now, as soon as we either talk with the contact assigned to the opportunity, we meet with anybody from the customer, or really get things going, we can change it to contacted. That means that we've reached out, we've made contact, things are moving forward and progressing. Now the next one, needs quote. Needs quote means that we're preparing a proposal for this sales opportunity. So if we're in the process of creating a proposal to present to the customer contact, we can choose needs quote, and that changes the status of our opportunities for reporting. Now, if I'm presenting that proposal in the form of a sales order, I can choose quoted, and that means that we've quoted this customer on a certain price, and now we're waiting for them to either confirm that yes, they want to move forward, or decline our offer. Now, the next three options are their decision based on the quote. So sold means that they've moved forward with the opportunity and that we're now in the process of creating a sales order for the opportunity. Lost means that they've decided to go elsewhere with their business. And canceled means that they've declined our sales order, but have not stated that they're moving on with anything else. So now if we've sold that business, we've sold that opportunity, we can change to sold. If we've lost it, meaning they've gone somewhere else, we can choose lost. If they've canceled, meaning that they've decided not to go with us, but they're not moving forward with anything else, we can choose canceled. And all of these will enable us to really report on our opportunities more in depth and with a lot more accuracy. So since we haven't contacted anybody, I'll choose open. Now, both open and status, both priority and status have hover pluses. Now, this will enable us to quickly add things like a status. So if we want to add a status that's not currently in the dropdown, I can add it here. I can also know whether the status is visible on the portal dashboard or whether it's the default status when adding an opportunity. I can also add a priority, and here we can add a name for the priority. We can also choose the color. And we can also add a opportunity category by choosing the hover plus as well. And this will allow us to add anything that we would like here. Now down below, we also have a notes section. And here we can add any note based on the opportunity. And this will help us detail exactly what the opportunity is for and really help everybody work on this opportunity more effectively. Now, by choosing save, you'll see a lot more options that appear with the particular opportunity. So here we'll notice two sections of options. We have our top tabs for the opportunities, which are our info, our hub, and our assignments, which we've gone over previously. We also have our actions. Now, actions will allow us to do things relating to the opportunity. So here I can create a task for the opportunity for somebody to work on something. I can create a project for the opportunity. I can create a sales order for the opportunity, and I can also create an appointment. If I want to attach anything, I can use attachments, and this will allow us to attach things like drawings, brochures, images, things like that, right within the opportunity. By hovering over the eye, we can see all the extensions that are available to us in attaching anything in the opportunity. We can also see our max file size per file is 10 megabytes. Now our notes section is a really cool feature. So let's say we have 2 or more people working on this particular opportunity, but each of them wants to communicate with each other and also track their progress with the opportunity and things that they're doing. We can use the notes field to accomplish that. So if I choose notes, a pop-up will appear, and here I can enter a note. So created the opportunity. We'll follow up later. Now by clicking add, that note will be added below, but it'll also be audited so we can see who entered the note and when. So this will enable multiple people relating to the opportunity to track the status of who's doing what and when, and really make our opportunity work more effective and a lot more easy to manage using our notes. Now, for instance, if me and Will were working on this opportunity, I could enter a note today. If he set an appointment, he could enter a note, created an appointment. And simply by adding that note, it can be added to the notes log below. And if he entered the note, it would say Will at whatever time he added it. Now, it's important to note that the notes recognizes the login of whoever is using the notes field. So now for this to say Will, he would need to log into his business system, enter a note, and click add, and then a note would appear down below. So this is not only helpful in terms of tracking statuses, but it's also secure in the fact that it recognizes who's adding the note and when. Now, linked to is anything that's linked to the opportunity. So for instance, if I was to create an appointment, the appointment would be linked to the opportunity. And same with the task, a project, or an order. All that would be linked right back to the opportunity since you're creating it from the opportunity. Now, the auto log will show changes in the opportunity. So here I can see what I've changed with the opportunity in terms of my assignments, my priorities, my probability percentages, and so on and so forth. And finally, my message center will allow me to message not only any internal users, but also contacts with the company that I'm working with. So here you'll see the customer is assigned automatically. My recipients I can choose from down below. If I want to change my subject, I can choose change subject, and I can change what the subject is. I can enter my body, and I can also enter attachments down below here. Now, as we enter messages, they'll be tracked within the message center, and any replies will also be tracked. And that'll not only go into, for instance, if I'm messaging a contact, it'll not only go to the partner portal for them to view in their portal, but it'll also go in their inbox, and any replies they make either from their inbox or the partner portal will be tracked in both places. Now, if I choose actions and create order, let's say that the Yolanda Steakhouse is going to move forward with my opportunity. We can create a sales order, and you'll see the customer, the bill to ship to automatically populates along with the sales rep because that's me creating the sales order. And here I can enter all my items, all my order information, and really get this order created for that opportunity. So if I choose to add some labor, and let's say they're going to buy some materials as well. Let's change the pricing on these. So now that we've built our sales order, we can simply click Create Order to create that sales order and really get this ready to go out to the customer. So by adjusting all that information, click Create Order. Now, because I'm tracking my GL categories, I can change that information on the line item. I can also choose default category down below. So if I choose mechanical income, this will change all my GL categories in one fell swoop. And I can also adjust them on each individual line item as well. Now, if I don't want to tax, I can take off that information as well, or put on that information, and you'll see the tax adjusts as we check off things. Now here, because they're located in Missouri, I can also change my tax rate by clicking on the hyperlink. And this will allow me to change things. So I can choose out of state since we don't have a tax agency with Missouri. And I can click update. And this will update my tax rate on the particular sales order. So now if I click create order, that sales order will be created. And because we've set our default sales order statuses in the global settings, this moves to approved. Now if I go back to that opportunity, I can refresh and you'll see the link to changes to 1 since we've linked the opportunity to that particular sales order. So again, anything you create from the actions menu will be automatically linked to the opportunity since you're creating it from the sales opportunity. Now, since we've created a sales order, I can change my status to sold. I'll change my probability percentage to 100. And since we made it a little bit more expensive, now it's important to change these for accurate reporting. So if I was to leave that on 75%, but it's sold, really wouldn't look too accurate on my reporting. So it's important to change those things for more accurate, streamlined reporting to get the best results. Now by choosing Save and Close, we can go ahead and save the opportunity and go back to our opportunities list. Now, besides opportunities, another helpful thing we can have within our business system in order to track our incoming customers are leads. Now, within business, there are lead forms, and lead forms are what people are going to fill out to essentially submit to us for doing work. So now to view these, we can go to the Company tab and click Settings. And underneath Customers and Vendors, we'll see lead forms. Now these are all the lead forms we have in our business system. We can look at them by clicking on the name of the lead form itself. And this will show me all the information related to that particular lead form. So we can see the name of the lead form, any sections that we have. So here we have a thank you page content. We have a section content. And any of these we can add or edit information as we'd like. Now down here are section fields, and these are fields that the person is going to fill out for the particular lead form. So the account name will be their company name, their first and last name, their company phone number, what industry they work with, their email, referral source, and a lot more information. Now we can add more sections as well by clicking the plus option up top. And these are all available section fields that we can add to our lead form. So we can add what type of account they are, their category, referring account, so where they heard about us, a credit limit, a contact phone number, and the customer vendor parent category, which is a custom field on the customer and vendor. Now, some of this information you might not want on a lead form, and that's okay. You can simply leave unchecked and check what you want to include. This is completely customizable for your needs. So for instance, if I only want to add the contact phone, we can choose contact phone and click Add Selected Fields. So now it's added down below. And we can also reorder by dragging and dropping that section. And you'll note the dotted line will show us a preview for where that will be located. As soon as you drop it, it's reordered. Now, any of these we can mark as required or not required by unchecking the required spot or checking the required spot. Now, if we want this lead form for internal use only, which means only our business employees can fill out this form, we can choose this checkbox as well to make an internal form only. We can check it off to make sure this is a public form and that anybody can fill this out as needed. Now, if I want to save my changes, I can click Save. And we also have a preview section. So if I click Preview, this will show me what the lead form looks like to our recipients. So here we can enter a company name. Here's their first, last name, phone number, industry. They can choose from the drop-down of available options. Their phone number, they can fill out their email address. They can note how they heard about us. They can enter any notes about their lead or what they'd like to do with us in terms of our business. They can enter their website. For their address, they can either enter it manually or they can search. Now, if they choose search, they'll be able to search Google for any address. So if I enter 20 Main Street and click the magnifying glass, Google will try to match that with any option that it matches within its Google Maps. And here we can select the address itself, or we can choose Select and Edit. And this will allow us to edit that address in any way we choose. Now, because we're matching it to Google and we're effectively choosing that location but choosing to edit as well, the country and state will be locked, but we can change the address lines, the city, and the postal code. Now, the contact title, they can also add in, and as soon as they're done, they just click Submit, and the lead form comes into us. So that is how the lead form looks, and essentially what it looks to people submitting the lead to us. Now, we also have notifications up top as well. So if I choose the Notification tab next to Form Setup, this is going to allow us to dictate who gets notified when a lead is created. So as soon as somebody fills out that lead form that we just went over, who do we want in my internal business to get notified? So if I want my sales manager, Will, to get notified when a lead form is created, I can choose him from the dropdown, and he will be added to my list of recipients. That way he can manage our leads a lot better and a lot easier because he'll get email notifications when one is created. Now to save all that information in terms of notifications and form setup, it's very important to go down and click either Save and Close. Now, any and all of these are editable, and you can add the same sections and section fields and customize your content in terms of your Contact Us page and your Thank You page. And each of them also have one thing in common, which is the Get Code button. Now, the Get Code button is how an external user or an internal user is going to submit the form. So if I choose Get Code, an iframe will pop up. Now, an iframe is something that you can insert to your website or social media, for instance, so that people can access the link and fill out the form. Now, if I copy this, I can demonstrate what this looks like in terms of somebody using that URL. Now, the iframe protects that actual clean URL, but it also inserts things into that particular website. But if I want to demonstrate how it looks like after they click that iframe code, I can simply paste and delete the iframe. Now, to delete the iframe, I'll just go all the way down to the last hyphen and delete. and then delete anything up to the HTTPS. And this will give us our clean code to go into the lead form. So if I click enter, I can see this is all the lead form information that I can fill out. So right here I can enter the account name. I can enter the website. And here I can either search or enter an address manually. My first name and last name. Now you'll see that because each lead form is different, we're requiring different things. Now the only two things that are required for this particular lead form are the website and the first name. Everything else is optional. So for our purposes today, I'll simply use Google for our website. And I'll enter my first name. Now, if they want to test the website, they can choose the hyperlink icon over here, and this will allow them to view the website to make sure that they've entered that accurately. Now, by clicking submit, we can submit the lead form, and here's our thank you page. So thank you for your interest in doing business with us. One of our representatives will reach out to you shortly. So that's an example of what that form looks like to a submitter submitting it. Now, when it comes into our business system, we'll view that under our leads section. So now to view our leads, we can go to the customers tab up here, and under CRM, we have leads. So by clicking lead, I can either search for leads, or I can click the search button here to view all of our leads. Now you'll see because we just submitted it, the most recent lead comes up top, and you can see the contact name is Brian. It was entered today at 11:28 a.m., and you can see the status is pending. Now the lead form is the type of form that was submitted. So you can see whether it's an internal lead, it's a lead form for website, or it's a web to lead contact form. Now to view the lead, we'll just click the lead number on the left. So if I click number 5, we can go into that particular lead, and here's all the information we just submitted. Now if they relay any information after we've contacted them, we can enter that in on our end as well. So if they've relayed a last name, we can enter that here, as well as the email address. We can also specify an industry on our end. Now each lead has an audit log to view changes that were made to the lead. We can see what the lead is linked to. And we also have an Actions tab. Now the Actions tab will allow us to mark the lead as inactive, associate with an existing customer, or convert to customer. Now associate with an existing customer will essentially pull all this information into an existing customer and link the two. Convert to customer will make a brand new customer based on the information on the lead form. So if I say convert to customer, this will pull up a brand new add customer vendor, and you'll see the website was added automatically, as was my first name. So this will pull over all the lead information with very minimal manual entry because it's pulling all that information over from the Actions menu. Now here I can enter the customer vendor name. So let's just assume that Pep Boys is going to be working with us. We can choose Pep Boys as the name. We can note whether they're a customer and or vendor. Now when you choose vendor, you'll get two options that drop down. You'll have subcontractor and 1099. Now these two options are a little different in function, so I would like to run down what each of them mean. So a subcontractor is a person or a company you have paid for services who isn't your employee. So this is a vendor contact who is going to do work for your company. Eligible for 1099 means that this is anybody who business owners are going to send a 1099 form too. And these are any subcontractors that you've paid during a course of business for more than $600 for either services, awards, or any other income that includes an individual, partnership, or an estate. Now, if this particular customer meets any of that criteria, you can simply check off those boxes or check off those boxes. Now you'll note that from earlier in the webinar, we chose that our default status for customer and vendors is active, that affected immediately upon entering the customer and vendor. We can also choose a category for this customer and vendor. So I'll just choose service. Now you can choose more than one, and this will be dictated by the semicolon separation. So you'll see service and internet and phone has been chosen, and that'll be the same as long as you add more things. Now you can enter a manual customer and vendor number. The system will generate one automatically if you leave it blank, and it'll go to the next available number. Now earlier in the session, we were talking about duplicate customer number vendors, which is something we just added in our previous release. And if you want customer and vendor numbers to not be unique, you want to enable duplicates, you can enter the same number that was there before, and business will allow you to do that. Now, since I've chosen not to allow duplicates, I'll just leave this blank to effectively choose the next available number. Now again, here we can choose to search Google for an address, or we can enter manually. For our purposes, I'll just let Google search, and we can match anything that matches our criteria. By choosing select, we can add that address very easily. We can also add a phone number, choose our industry, how they heard about us, and who referred them to us. Now, the referred by will be a customer that is already active with our business system. Now, since they heard about us from Google, I'll leave the referred by blank. If you want to add a sales rep, we can do that here as well. If we want that assignment to be visible on the partner portal, I can check off this box, and upon logging in, they can see that I'm assigned to that opportunity. Now, if I want to check for duplicates, I can check for duplicates here as well to make sure that everything that I'm adding here has not already been added in our business system. So now I have two options when done. I can either save and close to go back to the customers list, or I can save and add an opportunity. So if I want to add a sales opportunity for this particular customer, I can choose save and add opportunity. And this is going to allow me to add a brand new opportunity for the customer. This is telling me that I need a last name, so I'll just add a new last name. And by choosing save and add opportunity, we can go right to a blank opportunity screen. And you'll notice because we added this from the customer, we're still in the customer dashboard, we're just in the opportunities section. So that's really one really awesome thing about business is that everything's interlinked. When you add a customer and you add an opportunity, you're not only adding something new with business, but you're also adding something new for that particular customer. So that's a really neat feature with the business system. And here we have all the same options that we had in our previous opportunity. We have our types, estimated values, statuses, and so forth. Now I'd like to point that because this is a customer and a vendor, it has both an AR tab or accounts receivable tab and an AP or accounts payable tab. So here we can not only see what we're selling to the customer, but also what we're buying from them. So now that we've gone over sales opportunities and leads, I'd also like to talk about something that I hinted to a little earlier in the video as well, and this is collections. Now to view collections, we can do this really easily by clicking the Customer tab, and underneath Financial, we have a collections. So by clicking collections, we can see everything that is owed to us by our customers. We can click search to search for any collections. And here we'll be able to see the customer name that's affected by the collections. And those will be represented by hyperlinks. The message that they're on, or what step they're on with the collections process. The last notice date, as well as when the notes log was last updated, the recipients of those notifications, as well as the last payment date, the next call date, and when they were added to the collections log. Now, each of these hyperlinks you can click on to see the information related. So again, if I click on the Pelican Freight Company, we'll be brought to their dashboard in another tab, but we'll also be able to see their AR summary right away. So here we can see the total amount and the open balance. Now, because we're managing collections, anything within the AR tab that has a money sign means that it's been paid. So that's also very important. The magnifying glass with the 1 means that it's been viewed by the contact that many times. So you can see invoice number 11, 12, and 6 have been viewed by the contact 1 time each. So now if I go back to the collections workflow, the messages are also a hyperlink. So if I choose friendly reminder, we'll see the name of the message. The days to wait after the last message was sent is 0. It's an email step, and here's the body of the message that's going to go out to the vendor or customer. Now the notes last updated, we can also click on that hyperlink, and here we can enter a note about the collections process for that particular customer, and we can add that here. So anything that we want to note down about that collection queue process, we can note here. Recipients, we can choose that hyperlink as well and choose who's going to be the recipient for these collections. Now, we have the primary contact assigned here, but we can choose from the dropdown and add any number of contacts within their business system. Now, since we've chosen 2, we can see not only do their names appear, but also their phone numbers and emails appear with the hyperlink as well. Now, with the next call date, we can choose that hyperlink, and this will allow us to choose when we're next going to contact them. And simply by choosing a calendar date, that'll change that hyperlink. And finally, the collections log is a notes log for the collection. So here we have a note that was last entered on August 20th. We can view that note here. We can see the next call date set to 8/22/2018. And we can see all that information with the notes log. And we can enter a new note. So I'm going to progress this collection. I can simply choose add, and now that note is added. So you'll notice this is a lot like the opportunity notes and the fact that you can track the progress of any notes that are added and see exactly who's entering the notes and when to really make managing your collections more effective. Now on the bottom, we also have a send selected, a snooze selected, and a skip selected. And we can change these by selecting what collection process we want to choose, which will highlight them in green. And we can send that message. Now please remember the message is this message here that will be sent. So if I choose all that are in that process step, I can choose send selected. It'll warn me that it's going to send 4 items, and whether I want to cancel to go back and make any changes that I need. And if I want to go ahead, I can click OK, and that'll send those particular steps. Now you'll notice because I sent those out, those all disappear from view. And now we have the one left that we're managing. Now, just because I sent the 4 steps does not mean they're going to disappear from the collections process. They're going to have a duration of time until they get to their second step or their third step or their last step, and until we finalize that collections process, either them paying or us putting them on hold or something like that. Now, if we want to snooze, we can simply check off. You'll notice it goes to green again, and we can choose snooze selected here. And here we can choose either to snooze for 1 day, which will change that date down below, 3 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, or a month. So if I choose snooze 1 day, I can click snooze, and tomorrow that same thing will come up on my collections process. Now, since we're talking about the collections process itself, you may notice a button that says Manage Process up here. And if I click that, I can be brought into my settings to see all the processes that make up our collections queue. So here we see that friendly reminder to make a payment is our first step, and that's 0 days since last notice. So this is the very first step in the collections process. The second step is the second notice, and this is 7 days after the first step. So 1 week after we send out that email, which was today, a week later, those same emails will go through the second notice. After we send the second notice, a month after that will be the final notice. And after we send the final notice, 5 days after that will be the reminder, and we'll place that account on hold. Now, all of those can be configured and rearranged by dragging and dropping. And if I want to edit them, I can click on the name of the step. And here we have that same email we saw before. And I can do that for any of these that are located down below. Now, each one will have an open balance link, which will show how much they owe, and it'll be a hyperlink to see what makes up that total. And that'll bring them to the portal to see all that information. Now, the merge fields are anything that we want to add that will automatically pull in information. So we have contact information, such as the contact first, last name, middle name, prefix, suffix. The account name will be the customer name, and up top is that open balance information. Any of these can be changed in terms of the name, and we can also change the dates in which they're owed from the last step. So for instance, that final step, if I want this to be 2 days after that final step is sent out, I can change that to 2 and click Save and Close. And you note the 2 has changed. Now, another thing that I talked about a little earlier on that I'd like to go into as well, since we're talking about communicating with customers, are monthly statements. Now, monthly statements are something that you can send per month to show your customers how much work you've been doing with them over a particular course of time. Now, to do that, I can go into the customer vendors. And if I go to portal, you'll see statement templates down below. Now, it's important to note that we can search the settings. So if I search statement, for instance, we'll find anything that matches, and I can select to go to that particular page. Now, we have one monthly statement set up so far. I can click on the name of that statement template and view all the information. So here's the statement name. This number will be how many days after the month ends that we want to send out these monthly statements. So if I want this to go out 2 days after the month ends, I can dictate that here. I can note whether this is default or not. On the right, I'll have where the notification comes from. So if we want to make this a little more personal, we want this monthly statement to look like it's coming from an employee rather than just a generic message. We can choose the assignment from down below. Now down here is what you're going to be tracking or what you're going to be showing the customer that you're doing on a particular month. So here we have a content section, and if I click on content, we'll be able to see the statement that we set up. So this is the printable content section, and you can see we're showing things like their customer name, the statement start and end date, what month the statement is in, ship to, bill to, our company information is up top, and then we have links for them to view the opening balance. The opportunities to pull over any opportunities that we're working on them over the given course of time. Now it's important to note that as you add sections, you can change the content for those sections as well. And every section has different merge fields, so you can add information relating to that particular customer. Now if you want to add another section, you can click Add Section here. And you'll be able to choose what type of section you're going to add. And we have a lot of information that you can add for these monthly statements, such as appointments that you've scheduled with any contacts for the customer. You can add any documents that you've added for them, links, notes, opportunities, orders, which are sales orders, projects. Service metrics is going to show the task time in terms of your response time, your close time, any task information. Transactions are going to be things like invoices, credit memos, sales receipts, and credit memos with open balance are going to list those transactions that are still open. So you can add a lot of different information within these monthly statements to really show your customers what you're doing for them on a particular month and really send those out on demand. If I choose Save and Close, I'll next take you into how to send monthly statements en masse to customers. Now already we went through our customer dashboard to show how we can send on an individual customer basis, but if we want to send this to multiple different customers at a time, we can do that by going to the Customer tab, and down below we have Send Monthly Statements. Now you can see any monthly statement campaigns we've already sent out. You can see that it's recurring, so that every month that statement's going to keep going out. We can see that statement by clicking on the statement name. So this will bring up a lot of information in terms of who's being notified when the statement goes out every month. So this is going to notify me and Daniela upon going out. It's going to send to the customer via email. And here we have the body information of that particular email. And then the monthly statement will follow the email and show all the information that we're doing for them on a particular month. Now you'll see that we have 25 customers selected for this monthly statement. Now to simulate how we get to that number and essentially how to build a sending monthly statement workflow, we can simply choose the back button to go back to the monthly statement request list. Now to add a new monthly statement, we'll just click Add. This will bring up some information. So here we have the statement month. What month do we want to track for our customers? Now since we're midway through August, I can choose July. I can choose any year as well that appears down here. By clicking OK, you'll notice that that populates. Now, customer on completion, by default, this is whoever is creating the monthly statement request, but you can add people as well by choosing from the dropdown. And you can also remove by clicking the trash can option. Now, send via is going to allow you to print, so you can print off the monthly statement and send manually to your customers. Or you can choose email, which will email them the monthly statement information. Now here's all that information for the initial email that goes out with the monthly statement attached. And we have a lot of merge fields that you can add, including the account name or the customer name, your company information, the contacts information. The user information will be your information. So this is going to be your first name, full name, last name, prefix, and so on. And then we have the monthly statement activity report link and the month and year that you're tracking. Now to select your customers, you can choose click here to select customers. And this will initiate a pop-up. So here we're going to filter for customers that we want to send the monthly statement to. So let's assume that I want to send out to active customers that also have a category of hardware. Now to do that, I'm going to add the customer status equal to active. So now I have my active customers selected. So the next step will be adding my categories. So I'll choose to add a filter, and I'll choose my customer category equal to, let's say, service. So if I choose next, you'll see that one customer was found that matches that particular criteria. Now if I want to go back and expand my search, I can choose the back button and either extract or add any new filters that I wish. Now if I go next, I can click next after it finds the customers. And you'll see that one customer was selected. I can change my search here, and this will populate the same information that we had before. I can also view customers, and this will allow me to see what customers are affected by that particular search filter. Now I can set as recurring by choosing this option down below. And here I can choose how many days after the statement ends do I want this to recur. This means that every month on the second day of that particular month, it'll send out a monthly statement for the previous month's data. Now the default statement template will be used by default, but if you do want to select a different template to use, you can click Manage Templates, and this will bring us to the same screen we found before, in which we can select a new template, edit a template, or add a new template as well. So now to make sure that that goes out, we can scroll all the way down and click Schedule. This will schedule a new monthly statement cycle, and since it's recurring, every second day on each month, that new monthly statement will go out. Now again, to view that on a customer level basis, we can go to the customer list, and I'll use the hamburger menu, which are these three lines to the left of the customer name. And this will allow me to jump into a section of a customer really fast and easy. Now, monthly statements are located underneath the AR section. So I can go to the AR sales orders, and you'll see monthly statements is located right to the right of sales orders. Now, by clicking monthly statements on a customer level, you'll see all the monthly statements that are affected for them personally. So here I have my information. You'll see the merge fields are pulling over correctly. And down below, this is what I'm tracking for that customer each month. So here I have 2 orders, 1 appointment, and 2 transactions. So this is what they're going to receive in an email. Now, because I'm on the customer level, I can choose to email the monthly statement again, or I can choose to print this off to mail that to them as well. And either way, I can easily send off that email by clicking to and choose the contact, or I can print to download a PDF of that particular monthly statement and print it off in a local printer. So if you want to do that on a personal level in terms of our customers, you can do that via the AR tab and monthly statements, or you can send it en masse via the customers and send monthly statements workflow. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about today are just some basic reporting fields that we can perform for our customers. So underneath the reporting tab, we have a lot of stock reports in our business system. Some of them include our income, so how much we're making per customer, per item, our sales order information to see how much items we're selling on sales orders, our sales order profitability. And over here, we have sales reports, such as an opportunity report, a sales rep activity report, and much, much more. But if I click the sales opportunity report, this will show me a report of all my opportunities that I currently have open. And by clicking search, all that information will drop down below. So here you'll see the customer and vendor that the opportunity is assigned to on the far left. The contact will be next, followed by the industry that they're associated with, the title of the opportunity, when the opportunity was created, the status of the opportunity, the referral source or how they heard about us, the opportunity type, the priority of the opportunity, the estimated value, probability percentage, expected close date, and number of days the lead was in system. Now the very bottom one was the one we entered today, the Yolanda Steakhouse, and you'll see that it's 100% and it's sold. So to make for really accurate reporting, it's quite important to keep up to date in terms of your statuses. That way you can see a more accurate view of what's going on with your business system. Now within this type of report, we can export by choosing the export to the selected format. And this will allow us to choose either a PDF, an Excel CSV file, a rich text format, TIFF file, or web archive. And by choosing one of them, we can just click the export button, and this will download in our browser for us to view and print off. Now, any of these search filters will allow us to filter down more accurately as well. So if I choose the priority as high, I only want to see high priority opportunities. I can click search, and only things matching that criteria will fall down below. Now, apart from our stock reports that we also have the report builder. So if I go to report builder underneath the reporting tab, I can build a custom report to make it fit my needs a lot more. So let's assume that the opportunity report was really good, but it doesn't really match what I want to find. It's not enough detail. So for that, I can build a custom report. To do that, I'll click the Add button. And then from there, I'll choose what data set I want to capture. So now since we're choosing to report on opportunities, I'll choose opportunities underneath the data sets. I can name my new report, and I can choose Next to go into building our new report. Now, since we've chosen the opportunity data set, all the available columns on the far left are related to opportunities. So we can add the title of the opportunity number, what type of opportunity it is, the priority, estimated value. Let's do the follow-up date. I want to know whether it's visible on the partner portal or not. I can show my opportunity notes, who it's assigned to, the status of the opportunity, whether the opportunity is still active, and the customer and vendor name that the opportunity is assigned to. Now, there's a lot of information in each data set that you can pull over to really make your reports more detailed and fit exactly what you want to find. Now, when you select columns, you can rearrange by dragging and dropping up. And once you've added selected columns that you're happy with, you can change the column names as well. So if I want to change the hashtag to a number, I can change that here. And I can change anything that we see in the columns. Now to make this more fit my needs exactly, I can choose filtering. And to filter, I'll just click Add Filters. So let's assume that I only want to see opportunities that are either quoted or needs quote. And I want to also add a filter for my opportunity assignment. I want to find project managers and assign to an individual employee. I can do that all with filters. And I can add as much filters as I want with the report builder, choose what I'm going to filter for, and effectively choose my options. Now with each of these, you can remove by clicking the X button, or you can click Submit to view your findings. So if I click Submit, we'll see that it now changes to Configure Filters instead of Add Filters. I can change my sorting. So let's sort for the estimated value. I can group. So let's group for customer and vendor name. Or better yet, let's group for the assignment. Opportunity assigned to employee name. And if I want to show the count, this means that in each group, it's going to show me how many opportunities are assigned to the particular employee. Now, aggregation happens with numeric values. That does not include dates. So things like task budgets, order totals, transaction totals, and in terms of the opportunity, I can aggregate for estimated value. Now, when you choose an aggregation, you can either choose sum, which is going to add up all the information into one lump number. You can choose the average, which is going to take the sum and divide by the number of counts in either a group or the report. You can choose the minimum number or the maximum number. I'll choose sum to add up all that information and show us a total. Now, if I choose Run Report, we'll be able to view all of our findings. So here we see we have nothing that matches our criteria. So we may need to change some things to view some information. Now, if I choose the funnel and gear icon, I can choose my opportunity statuses. So here I'll select Open as well and choose Submit Search. So now that we've adjusted our filters by choosing the funnel and gear icon, we have some more information. Now here I can see all of my columns that are affected by the report. I can minimize and maximize column headers by dragging and dropping over. And here's all the related information. So you can see, because I'm grouping by assignment, I personally have 2 opportunities, and I can see because I'm showing a count that I have two opportunities assigned to me. Here's my customer note, my opportunity notes that pull over, and all of them appear per opportunity, per assignment. Now my aggregation for the estimated value is working as well, and we can see that by the summation up top. And it also works for the complete report in terms of pulling down all those totals. Now anything that you see in blue is a hyperlink, so you can easily click on that information to view whatever the hyperlink is for. For instance, I can choose the customer vendor name. I can choose the opportunity number to go into the opportunity. And I can also do that with the opportunity hyperlink. Now, visible on the partner portal is a checkbox. Now, if it's visible, it'll be checked on. If it's not visible, it'll be checked off. Now, there is one other feature that I wanted to show with a report builder that is also really neat. So I'll add customer vendor address. I'll just drag and drop right under customer vendor name and choose Run Report. Let's resize all this information so we can view everything on the report more easy. So as I choose customer vendor address, that'll also populate with the address line 1, with the state, city, zip code, and country. So instead of listing out the city, zip, state, and separate things, you can choose customer vendor address, and that links everything together in a nice, neat, easy, manageable address. So that concludes our session on customer relations management, or CRM. I'd like to now open up 5 to 10 minutes for any questions you may have. If you don't have any questions, please feel free to leave our Business Academy session. And again, thank you for attending Business Academy. You're very welcome, Paula. Okay, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I hope you have a good day.